Order! Order! You are an incorrigible delinquent at times. Behave yourself, man!
Now, at one point, we were expecting a decision on Heathrow tomorrow. It's been delayed. It's probably next week now, but hey, we've been waiting 48 years, so another few days is neither here nor there. But Nick Watt is back with me with news on how the government might push Heathrow if it is indeed selected as the favoured site of an extra runway. What are they thinking, Nick?
OK, so what we know is that the Cabinet is going to discuss tomorrow whether and where to build a new runway in the southeast. And what we also know is that Cabinet subcommittee will meet next week, will make a decision and then announce it next week. But what I've learnt tonight is that the government is planning to hold a Commons vote within a week of that announcement.
Within a week?
Yeah. Now, they are obliged to hold a formal vote. It's called on a national strategy policy statement within a few months. But they want to go much earlier to prevent opponents building up a head of steam. So, to take an airport entirely randomly, if they were to go to Heathrow, Zach Goldsmith could go ahead and have his by-election, but they would hope they'd have the numbers in Parliament to have Parliament have approved it by then. The second thing I've learnt, speculation that they might go for Heathrow and Gatwick. I'm told they're just going to go for one of the three options. Is it a second runway at Heathrow, Gatwick? Is it a third runway at Heathrow? Or is it the Heathrow hub, which is expanding that northern runway?
Oh, come on, just tell us which one it's going to be, Nick. You must know.
If you are going for one option, then it looks like you're following the Airports Commission chaired by Howard Davis. And if you are following Howard Davis, you are going for a third runway at Heathrow. But ministers are saying no decision has been made yet. The Prime Minister wants to hear from the Cabinet, and they're going to follow the evidence. And those ministers meeting on that subcommittee, they have a pile of papers. They've got to do their homework, and then they'll publish it.
Thank you, Nick. Well, airports and aeroplanes are often seen as one of the main culprits of CO2 and other emissions by those who seek to improve air quality in the UK. But those of us who bought diesel cars thinking that would help global warming have known for a while now that we are indeed actually poisoning our fellow citizens with toxic emissions far worse than we've been led to believe. So how should Britain respond to that? By the way, worse than EU emissions, EU mandated emissions. How should we respond to that? Should we try to get the emissions down, or should we use Brexit as a chance to dump the EU mandated levels and wallow in pollution? Our technology editor David Grossman has been looking at the UK's commitment, or that lack thereof, to cleaner air.
This is my route to work. The cycle path up the side of the A3 is not the prettiest, but it is pretty fast. And at least I'm separated from the speeding traffic.
What I'm not separated from, of course, are the fumes, and you can really taste them. But just what am I breathing in? This bike has been fitted with an air quality monitor.
The main thing it's measuring is nitrogen dioxide. What that does to the human body can be pretty nasty.
In simple terms, that's going to increase your susceptibility to cardiovascular disease. It's going to increase your risk factor, say, have a heart attack or a stroke. It's going to make you more susceptible to respiratory infections. If you've got asthma or sensitive lungs, it might make you more prone to have an asthma attack.
So it's pretty nasty stuff.
Yeah, it's nasty stuff.
A strict EU limit came into force in 2010, an annual mean of 40 micrograms per cubic metre of air. However, the government won't enforce it until 2020 for the UK as a whole, and even later, 2025 for London.
Well, the numbers are starting to come in, and frankly, it's enough to make you want to hold your breath the whole way.
This is what my day looked like, and here is the 40 microgram annual mean limit. My journey up the A3 was swimming in nitrogen dioxide, but the biggest spike of the day was, appropriately enough, outside the High Court. Tomorrow, the environmental lawyers Client Earth are continuing their legal challenge to the government.
Well, we need to go back to court now with the government, because this government, in the 35 years that I've been doing environmental work, is the most reluctant to follow the law when it comes to an important public health issue. We have 40,000 people a year dying early in the UK due to air pollution, and the government has dug in its heels and said we're just not going to comply anywhere near the time we were supposed to. They're supposed to comply in 2010. They're now saying in London it'll be 2025, but their own plan shows that it won't be anywhere near 2025.
So why has the UK struggled to meet air quality laws that were supposed to come into force in 2010? Up until May, Stephen Haidari Robinson was David Cameron's advisor on energy and the environment. He says one reason is we do too much computer modelling and not enough actual measuring.
As you've done today, going around actually measuring things is probably the right way forward. I think the second is that you're sort of looking at these numbers and you're struggling to understand why they're not going down. And that's a large proportion about what happened with the VW scandal. So it turns out that actually emissions from diesel vehicles are 6 times what they should have been. You know, so that's the explanation. I mean, this problem is largely about diesel vehicles, and you know, really we need to address that issue if we want to solve air quality problems.
But given the scale of solving that problem and meeting those EU legal limits, there is some concern that the government might try to use Brexit to abandon them or perhaps water them down.
Okay.
Last month, the Commons Environment Audit Select Committee couldn't get an assurance from ministers.
Okay, are you giving a commitment then the standards will be higher or at least at the level of the European standards? Is that
I'm saying to you what I've said to you previously, Geraint, that we want better air quality than we have today. And that's what we'll be working to that outcome.
With enforceable legal standards?
We have, as you know today, we have enforceable legal standards.
I just want to know whether you're going to keep them, that's all. So you won't give that undertaking. Is that right? You won't.
We are part of the European Union.
Okay, I think
we want higher, better air quality.
Would the government, which is so reluctant to comply with the law, try to move away in the Brexit process? I hope not. The Prime Minister has promised not. But we'll be very vigilant, and so will thousands of other citizens. We can pass a new Clean Air Act that will actually give us the best standards in the world. That's the opportunity that we have.
In the meantime, air pollution continues to damage thousands who can't avoid exposure. As for me, I think I'll take the long route through the park from now on.
David Grossman there.